Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going over my melting basket in Empties for the first week in January. Now, I wasn't part of the official group, but I followed along and participated in the Low-Buy Collab that Drew and another of other YouTubers started. And this first week is the theme of feeling the blues. So we were supposed to melt or burn or use products that were blue. And I pulled out a lot of my blue wax, everything that wasn't in a box that I haven't unpacked yet. I weighed everything because I was curious to see how much blue wax I had, because I had a lot of blue wax. And then I've tracked how much wax I've used throughout the week because I've been curious how much volume I usually can use to see, going forward, really how much wax is even reasonable for me to add to my collection every month. So this week I actually feel like I got through more than I usually do. I really enjoyed this week, and unlike some others, I had a wide variety of scents in blue. Now in this, I only have things that I either melted from or finished. I put back everything else that I did not touch, so in this is not all of my blue wax. But at the end I will go over how much I actually melted, but just to give you an idea of how much I started with 27.53 pounds, so approximately 27.5 pounds of blue wax. Now, let's start up with the first thing, and this was not part of the weight equation. This is a body care that I've been trying to slowly use. Started sometime like last summer or so, but this is from Royalty Soaps. The scent is River Song, and I don't have scent notes, but Royalty Soaps is a YouTube channel. They primarily make soaps, and they make some other products. I really enjoy their soaps and watching Katie and her family make videos. She's really talented and a lot of fun to watch. Very inspiring, sweet person. This scent is based off of River Song or Melody Pond in the Doctor Who series, and it was a quite aquatic smelling. I have found that I'm not really a big fan of the texture of Royalty Soap's lotion. I have a few others that I need to finish using up, but it was a much more watery, and not like super watery, but it was just more lightweight and thin, and I prefer a thicker textured lotion for my skin, so I wouldn't repurchase this lotion in this particular scent. But they do offer soap in this scent, and I absolutely would pick it up. I really enjoyed the fragrance of it. It was aquatic, watery, but it also had a little bit of a clean, soapy smell. And it really took me back to something I remember from my paternal grandmother's bathroom. And I can't remember what the product was, but it was an Avon bubble bath, and I can't remember if it was the blue bottle or the pink bottle. It was one of those two, but this smells exactly like it. And so yeah, I really enjoyed the smell. It brought up some good memories of spending time with my grandmother, staying overnight and having a bubble bath, and getting to wear one of her hairnets and like fancy silk robes and watch I Love Lucy. Anyways, I finished that up. Then I'll go over the two candles. This first candle is from L3 Waxy Wonders. They had a fantastic sale back around Black Friday or so, so I was able to get this off, I think 25% off, and I think they're normally $25, but this is one of the Green Got Vault cash candles, and inside there'll be a little foil packet with anywhere from $1 to $100, and this candle had $1 in it. The scent, and this is The Boy Who Lived, so it's a Harry Potter reference to Harry Potter. And the scent, I believe, is like cotton candy and green apple and something else. I don't remember exactly. This was so light. You almost couldn't smell it on cold. And any of the times I burned it, I got no scent. The only thing I got, and as you can see, was just a lot of smoke and soot. This was so sooty. And yes, I know right now you can see the last time I burned it, I didn't trim the wicks after that, but there was lots of mushrooming, lots of soot. I did trim the wicks. I kept them short for most of this, and it didn't seem to matter. There is a little bit left. I'm not going to scrape this out and use it. It just smells so smoky. I've picked up like a cloud cake or something in their wax to give it a chance without burning it. So at some point that'll come up, but I would not repurchase this candle. I do have a few other candles from them that I've not really burned much of yet, but I plan to be working a lot on my candles this summer and this fall, and I'm really hoping that they will be less sooty. And then the other candle was Bath & Body Works Blueberry Maple Pancakes. It's a beautiful dark blue wax. This was a fresh burn for me, and I burned it a couple of times this week. I'd never tried this this candle before, and I really enjoyed the way it smelled on cold. I made the mistake of only picking up 2 of these in Candle Day. I should have gotten like 10. I love this. I already love blueberry scents, but this was just so good, and the throw was fantastic. I had this burning the first time for maybe 4 hours, and I had it on a little candle holder sitting on top of the stove right here in the kitchen, and I could smell it through this whole open concept area with our dining room and 2 hallways and kitchen into the living space, and we have really tall ceilings. I could smell it all the way back into the back hallway going into the bedroom. So one of the best throwing candles I have burned in a while. I would absolutely pick up more. It was fun with the dark blue wax, and it has a nice blueberry. It's not too candy-ish, but it is a little bit of a candy blueberry slash juicy blueberry. It kind of crosses the line on both sides to me, and maybe the candy notes really more from that sweet maple, which to me is only a little hint of maple. It's a little bit more brown sugary, not caramel though. And then you do get kind of like a muffin scent, not necessarily pancakes, but it is that kind of muffiny, pancakey, bakery smell with like blueberries and some syrup. And I just really liked it a lot. And the scent notes, I'm sorry I didn't go over that, but wild blueberries, griddle fresh pancakes, and warm maple syrup. I know a lot of people don't like maple. I would say pick it up sometime if you see this in a store and at least smell it. And if you're not like, ooh, this is super mapley, maybe pick it up and give it a try, because to me the maple is not overwhelming in this. I really mainly get the blueberry and that kind of muffiny. This was one of the highlights of this week for sure, and I'm hoping that I can pick up some more of these sometime soon. All right, let's go over, one of my rules for the week was it had to either be entirely blue or at least 50% or more blue. And this I kept in here as an example. So you see the top of this clamshell is blue, but the majority of it is pink. So I did not melt anything that was like this. And let's start with the other clamshell. This was Southbound's Sweater Weather, and the scent notes are juniper berries, fresh eucalyptus, and sage, with notes of woods, sweet spearmint, and dew. And this is similar to Bath & Body Works Sweater Weather, but it's just a hint different in my opinion. The spearmint and the dew note I don't feel like are in the actual Bath & Body Works. It's a close dupe, but it just is a little bit different. And I really loved this. The throw and intensity were top notch. I would say a 9 as far as the strength, and then it lasted all day for me. I used 1 cube in 3 different warmers, and I could smell it throughout the room. Thoroughly enjoyed this. It's definitely got that juniper-y note, and to me the eucalyptus is very light and just kind of adds in a dimension, but you don't necessarily pick up on it. To me, it's more of that juniper and the sage and a little bit of a woodsy note. And then in this version, there's like this fresh sweetness from the air, I think, and just a little hint of like that herby sweetness from the spearmint. I loved this. I would get more of it. I would get a loaf of it. I've been wanting to reach in and grab this, but I knew I needed to film my empties first. So highly, highly recommend this if you love sweater weather or these scent notes sound good. All right. Next up, I did a few items, and I'm going over the things that I melted some from, but I did not finish. This is blue flannel, and this is from Ash's Scents. It's cozy flannel, blue cotton candy, and a hint of baby bee buttermilk. And sorry for the messy bag, but these are so pretty when they melt. There's a variation of colors, and then she does, I believe, use primarily mica to color. So if that's something that bothers you, cleaning up the mica afterwards, just be aware of that. She does use glitter as well, but from what I've seen, it's not glitter in excess. And to me, it's not so much mica that it's an annoyance to clean out of my warmers after they're melted. So this definitely has more of a traditional masculine scent from that flannel, but it is a little sweet, and there's both that kind of like coziness from the flannel, but a little laundry-ish, but then sweetness, I think, from the cotton candy. And then there's this, okay, I'm not sure quite how to describe the baby bee buttermilk, but it's very similar to like an oatmeal milk and honey scent, but not so heavy on that almondy note that you'll usually get. And if you're familiar with like the classic Burt's Bees fragrance, it's that. So it's a little powdery and a little sweet, and it just blends really well with this. I melted this in the bathroom and really enjoyed it. I don't know that I need more of it because I still have quite a bit, but I did really enjoy this. And yeah, it was only in the bathroom for a couple of days. It lasted the full day. I did change it out each time because towards the end of it being in for like 12-13 hours, the scent was starting to drop down in intensity, but I really did enjoy it, and it didn't give me a headache, which a lot of cologne or masculine leaning fragrances I have to be careful with. So I did enjoy that one. And then another one from Ash's Scents was All My Exes Live in Texas. This is cherry, chestnut, whipped cream, Texas pecan pie. And I loved this wax pool. Not only is it just a beautiful blue, let me see if I can pull it out and y'all can see. But do y'all see these little, like right here and here and here, these little glitters that are shaped like umbrellas. And I had this gorgeous blue pool and these little turquoise glittery umbrellas through it. It was so pretty. And I was shocked by this scent. I normally am a cherry hater, and I've recently been finding that there are certain cherry oils that I actually enjoy in moderation, such as maraschino cherry, I believe is a certain oil that I'm liking, and cherry mallow. But I've now tried two things, this being one of them, from Ashes Scents that has cherry in it, just taking a chance on it, and I've really enjoyed it. So this is a little bit more of like a cherry vanilla scent. If you've ever tried Bluebell ice cream, they have a cherry vanilla ice cream, and it's got maraschino cherries and then their homemade vanilla ice cream in there. This is that cherry vanilla scent. And then you get this chestnut smell and the pecan pie. So it's like a sweet, slightly toasty, buttery nuts, and I just really liked this. I actually would pick up more of this one. I don't know that I would necessarily need a loaf, but I would possibly do that much. Just highly enjoyable. I melted this in the I melted it in the bedroom, and it had really good throw. It didn't throw down into the other room, but I could easily smell it in the bedroom, and I believe it lasted about 8 hours or so. I can't remember exactly if I changed it out because the scent was starting to fade or if I was just wanting to pop something else in. All right. Next up, let's go over L3. So I pulled this out of a box that I still haven't even unboxed yet. It has a lot of mint scents, but this is L3 Waxy Wonders. It's a scoopable, and it's called Kide Melts, and it's peppermint, buttermint, and cupcakes at Tiffany's. And this may sound basic, but this is so good. You can see I've used quite a bit of it. I know I'm videoing this late, but I've reached for this a couple times in some other baskets, so I didn't use quite this full amount this first week, but I did start this, and I probably used this first third that week. It was one of the things I reached for at night, and this is just such a good peppermint bakery. To me, it is a little bit nose clearing with the peppermint, and then you get that bakery kind of yellow cake cupcakiness and just a little bit of that toffee and chocolate. It's not strong on the chocolate. Did I say coffee? No, toffee, sorry. It's definitely not strong on the chocolate. There's hints of it, but I found I really like Cupcakes at Tiffany's. And the peppermint with this, it doesn't come off as like a peppermint chocolate bakery. It just really comes across as a peppermint cupcake with delicious sweet frosting. And I'm not saying that this is super sweet. It's really not super sweet, but this is just fantastic. I really like this. I would pick it up again, and the performance was great. A lot of times scoopables will last, 3 or 4 hours if I'm lucky, but this did last longer, more around the 6 to 8 hour mark, because there were some mornings where I could still smell it in the room, and I don't know if it was just a lingering fragrance or if it was still producing. I would say initially the throw on it was probably about a 7 or 8. It wasn't a powerhouse scent. It didn't blast down the hallway from the bedroom, but it did fill the room. We have like 11 or 12 foot ceilings. We don't have a giant bedroom, by the way, but it did last. I woke up a couple times in the night. I could still smell it, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It wasn't too overpowering at night having the peppermint. It wasn't like stinging your eyes with the strength. All right, next up is another scoopable from L3 Waxy Wonders, and it's Twilight Falls. This is Twilight Falls which is Ocean Mist, Soothing Lavender, and Rosemary Mint. And a really beautiful blue. I just feel like the camera is not capturing this, but it's a slightly dusty blue. It's just beautiful. Now, I don't know what I think about this one. The scent is nice. It definitely has that aquatic, oceany note, and then you get the herbalness from, it does definitely an herbal lavender, and then the herbalness of the rosemary and mint. It almost has a tiny hint of a body care note, not super overwhelmingly, but just a hint of it. And I thought I would love this scent from the scent notes, but I don't think I would order it again. I need to melt it again because also at the time it hadn't had a ton of cure time, maybe 2 months, and I find scoopables perform better in my house if they've had more around the 4 to 6 month range on cure, just because I like scents to be super strong, and I can definitely melt them sooner. They don't require that much cure time, but I just find that I get the very best strength intensity of a fragrance if I give it a little bit more time. So maybe I need to reach for this again and give it another try. It might be better. I might enjoy it more in the summer. Is a little bit of like a cooling sensation because of the ocean mist, which is nice, but yeah, I don't know why. I just don't love it. Alright, next up, also from L3, is a Trig Tart, and this is Saltwater Mermaid. It came very broken and melty in the package because I did not include ice packs, and I thought it was shipping out early October, and it got shipped out late in September, and we were still dealing with extreme heat here in Texas, so it was my bad for not putting ice packs in a huge order, but hey, it still melts perfectly fine, so just ignore the messy bag. This is just a single oil to my knowledge, and I believe it's got like coconut milk and maybe heliotrope. It's definitely a aquatic, oceany with a little bit of a floral note. This is not salty sea air. It doesn't have that brininess to me. And there's a slight sweetness. It's nice, but this was a little bit light. I did melt it in the bathroom, and it was a medium throw. I don't remember honestly how long it lasted, and I would need to melt it again to decide if I would order it again. Next up was Midnight Blue Citrus, Saltwater Mermaid, and Fizzy Soda. Now, this blend I was so surprised by. I really enjoyed it once it was warmed. On cold, I was very uncertain about this, and I had never melted anything with Midnight Blue Citrus in it before, which I'm not sure what the notes are. I believe it is a Bath & Body Works dupe, and it maybe has some mango, some citrus, maybe, I don't know what else, maybe some driftwood. And the first thing I get is definitely that lemon lime fizzy soda, like a Sprite, and then I get that kind of sweet, slightly aquatic, slightly floral Saltwater Mermaid that I was just talking about. And then a little bit more of a body care-ish citrusy note is what I was getting. I didn't finish a whole bunch. I still have about a quarter left, so I melted this once, but this was so strong. I could smell it. I melted this in 3 warmers, and 1 in the kitchen and 2 in the living room, and this lasted all day. So probably 10 hours is about how long I left it in, and I could smell it the entire time. Really, really enjoyed it. I don't know that I would need a loaf in this, because I don't need a lot of wax in my warmers for this one to be smelled, but I did enjoy it, and I would pick it up again. Another one I've really enjoyed was Keymaster, also from L3 Waxy Wonders, and this is Adipose and Blue Sugar. Now, Adipose is one of their house blends that is like a marshmallow scent, so Jet Puff marshmallows, marshmallow fluff, etc. And then Blue Sugar is an Aquafina perfume, similar to Pink Sugar, but it is supposed to be more like the masculine version. So a little bit of an adult, manly cotton candy smell, if you will. And Blue Sugar to me always gives a little bit of a licorice anise smell to it. I really like Blue Sugar. I didn't think I would. And this is one of the first times I have melted anything with Blue Sugar in it. I've definitely been wanting to record this video so I could pull this back out and melt it again, because there's been a couple days that I've just craved this blend. And I don't know necessarily that the Adipose and the marshmallow give this anything, but I just really enjoyed it. Maybe it sweetens it up a little bit more, although I feel like Blue Sugar is already fairly sweet. I expected this to be something that might give me a headache, but it did not. And it was just like a nice cotton candy that has a little bit of that masculine cologne-y note and a little bit of that anise licorice, which normally I do not like licorice, but it's really wonderful smelling. It is a little bit body care, but like super sweet. If you do not like super sweet, you might not like this one. And normally I don't like super sweet fragrances, but I just enjoyed this one so much, and it performed really well. I only used 3/4 of one bunt, and it similarly lasted probably 8 to 10 hours. I don't remember exactly. I should have written down. And it also had really good throw and intensity, so I would say it was like a 8. And I definitely think if I had another warmer or two going in here, the strength and intensity of it would have gone up. I'm just melting in a room that gobbles up scent very easily. So when it throws that well, I'm pretty impressed. And I would get that again. I don't know that I necessarily need a loaf, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would possibly get like half of a loaf or something and just gradually work on it. This, I don't know if this is my favorite of the week or not. It was one of the biggest surprises. This is Sally from L3 Waxy Wonders, and I love this one. It's spun vanilla sugar, pecan bars, pie crust, and vanilla ice cream. Now, to me, vanilla ice cream is a scent that I really don't think you can pick up in a blend. I think it's there purely to make us think, when we're reading scent notes, oh, this sounds delicious. And perhaps it gives a smoothness or a light vanilla to the scent if it's in great quantities, but generally I just think that it is a name only thing, and that you just can't smell vanilla ice cream in blends. Now that's my nose and my opinion, so I could be wrong. I've not tried melting vanilla ice cream on its own. But the other things are what I got. And this smells really light on cold. Like I'm opening it up, I can barely smell anything. It almost smells like Play-Doh with a little bit of a caramel note when I open the bag on cold. But when it is melted, the other scent notes come out, and this blossoms into just the most delicious bakery. That toasty, buttery pecan note with this brown, sugary caramel, just like that gooiness of a pecan pie, and then the buttery flakiness of the pie crust. Oh, it was so good. I don't know if I would get a loaf in this just because I have so much wax right now, but possibly would. It was just fantastic. I think this would be phenomenal during the fall and winter because it was more of a warm bakery. And surprisingly, it was not so sweet, like that sickly sweet. I think the pecan and that kind of nutty toastiness kind of kept it from going there. But this was one of my favorites from the week. Another one from L3 that I melted, and I did this at night. This is Ice Princess, and it's pink sugar and peppermint. Yeah, it's a basic scent. You might not be able to tell. It's a very, very light blue, and this was one of the 4-pack tarts. I don't know that I would get this on its own. It was nice, but I feel like there's other nighttime peppermint or other blends that I prefer, and this is not bad. It's that sweet pink sugar kind of adult cotton candy smell, and it has a little bit of that lemon and maybe raspberry with the cotton candy from the pink sugar. But really, when you melt this, the thing that you get the most is the peppermint, and it is a little bit more of a nose clearing peppermint. I think for me though, the performance on this was not where I was hoping it to be. Considering it's a peppermint, normally peppermint is a great performer, and this was more of a light to medium throw in intensity for me. It had plenty of time to cure, so I don't know if it's just the format. Maybe I have some sort of a hole in the bag and I don't realize, but I would not pick this one up, at least in this form of wax. I would possibly get it in a scoopable. And then the last one that I did not finish from L3 was Daydreaming. I also melted this at night, and this was sweet lavender, peach cobbler, and cotton candy. And oh, I liked this so much. Who knew that lavender and peach was good together? I certainly didn't, and I ordered this sometime last fall just on a gamble because I love peach scents and I love lavender, and I thought, well, why not? It's so unique. Now, the lavender is definitely a little bit more herbal leaning, a little bit body care-ish, a little soapy, but I liked this. And then you definitely get the cotton candy, that kind of sweet, fluffy smell, you know, the sugariness. And then you get peach. Now, I do think it's a little bit more of a peach gummy ring than a true juicy peach. But maybe the combination with the cotton candy helped just like make it fit in. And I did really enjoy this. I would get more of it. Maybe not necessarily a loaf. I don't know. I do go through lavender blends really quickly at night. Usually I can go through a whole loaf from L3 in 2 weeks. So I would possibly do that. But I did enjoy this a lot. Now, it wasn't the strongest on throw and intensity. It was a medium, maybe a 6, which is fine at night. Sometimes you don't want something that's blasting you away. So it was really pleasant in the bedroom at night. Alright, before we get to all these empties over here, let's go over the last vendor, and this was Rose Girls. So I had some of these mini melter bags. I got this in the big kahuna box that I picked up in the fall, and I only melted the blue chunks, so I didn't melt the brown squares. And this is blueberry vanilla sugar bread, and boy do I love this one. It's such a good blueberry, and then you get like this vanilla sugar crusted top of a muffin. You do get a tiny hint of yeastiness, but it's really not dominating. It's, to me, a little bit more of a muffin-y smell. And then this juicy, like, canned blueberries. Oh, I would get more of this. It performed really well for me. And I believe, I can't remember if I melted this once or twice. I believe I melted this once on its own, and then I also melted it in one warmer in combination with the next scent that I'm about to go over, because I didn't have quite enough blue from the other scent to fill in my warmers in the main space. But I could smell this really easily. The intensity was nice. It wasn't a blow you out of the house, but I would say it was like a 7, maybe 8 at the beginning, and then it gradually did fade. Now, it didn't last super long. It was maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then the scent was starting to fade. And I was trying to get through a lot of wax this week, so I did pull things once they started to fade below that like 5 point, just because I wanted to melt more wax. So it probably could have gone longer, but I would absolutely get this again. I enjoy this very much. And then something else I melted, which is also from Rose Girls, is blueberry pecan oatmeal cookies, and it did have a lot of blue chunks in here. I only melted the blue chunks, and I melted this, I can't remember if it was twice or 3 times, but I know the last time I didn't quite have enough for the warmers, like I was just saying, and I put the blueberry sugar vanilla bread in one of the warmers. I love this one. I would probably get this in a half pie. It's delicious. Now, it is a blueberry scent, and it's definitely a pecan scent, and you get that kind of spicy oatmeal cookie scent. So if you don't like any of those, don't try this. Oh, I've got to smell it. So in the bag on cold, the first thing you get is that kind of spicy oatmeal cookie, just like that classic oatmeal raisin, but without the raisins. So you definitely get the cinnamon and maybe a little bit of nutmeg and that kind of toasty oat smell. And then you get the pecans, and the pecans really come out more once you start warming it. And this was really good on throwing intensity. I could smell it all the way through the main living spaces in our house just from 3 warmers, and it did last pretty well. I would say 7 or 8 hours, so a little bit longer than the other one. And the blueberry is, again, like that kind of sweet, juicy, canned blueberry that you might get in a box of blueberry muffins, and you have that little can of like the miniature blueberries. They're real blueberries. They're not like imitation blueberries, and you drain it off and you add it to your muffin mix. It's that kind of a blueberry. And then the toasty nuttiness of the pecan, and then the spiced oatmeal cookie. Just fantastic. I know I should probably finish off this bag, but I kind of want to save it for the fall because it was so good. It was definitely one of my favorites from the week. Alright, one that I did not like so much from Rose Girls was You Need to Calm Down. And this is vanilla lace, cotton candy frosting, and I believe sweet lavender. And I've come to realize that I do not care for Rose Girls sweet lavender oil. To me, it's a little bit artificial, too powdery, too like perfumey and soapy. I think I prefer more of the herbal leaning lavenders, and it's not, it just comes off very like chemically and perfumey and artificial to my nose. So I don't like that in this blend. And I did try to melt this, I believe, one night for bedtime. Then I've also come to realize that I do not care for her cotton candy frosting oil. It also is very chemically and artificial. And I know it's a cotton candy frosting oil that a lot of other vendors use. It's not just Rose Girls. And I just don't care for that particular version of the cotton candy frosting. I'll go more into that in just a second because I also melted some of that this week. So this was a miss for me because of those two. Yeah, I just do not like this one, and so I'll probably give it away to somebody else who likes those oils. I don't feel like you get the vanilla lace very much. It is present, and it gives a little bit more of that perfumey body care vibe, but altogether just not something I cared for. Throw was okay. I believe I wound up emptying it out after a couple hours just because I was disliking it so much. So I don't know how long it would have lasted. This is from Rose Girls, and this is the cotton candy frosting that I was just talking about. And for both of these bags, I only melted the blue squares. I didn't melt from the others. And I've tried to melt this cotton candy frosting. I thought maybe giving it a little bit more time to cure or something like that. Maybe it would change, but no. And even just opening this bag, I do not like this. Oh, no. It's got a really strong plasticky, chemical, artificial note, and there's this artificial like strawberry and mixed berry smell to it that my nose just does not enjoy. And again, these are just my preferences. I'm not bashing Jenny. This is just a particular oil. Many people use it. It comes from a supplier. Lots of people love it. It's just, to my nose, it just doesn't, I just don't care for it. So this will be passed along to somebody else because I just don't want to melt anymore. I just do not like this. And then the last one that I did not finish was also from Rose Girls, and this is Rain. And oh, I like this so much. It's been nice having just Rain on its own, and it's a really pretty blue. I melted this in the bathroom, and then I also melted this in the main area one day. And oh, I just enjoyed this so much. It's definitely got a little bit of like a soapy clean note, but then there's also this fresh air and this aquaticness to it. A little floral leaning. I don't know what the actual scent notes for Rain are. And it doesn't necessarily remind me of the smell of fresh rain either. But I love this. I think it would be great mixing it with things, and I loved it on its own, so I would repurchase this. Alright, let's dive into the actual empties. So I finished a lotion and I finished a candle, and then I finished a lot. First up, from Ashes Scents, this was a sample. It was 2 pieces, and it's 7 Years of Bad Luck. It's raspberry cream cupcake, poison pie, and sugar. I melted this in the bathroom one day. I didn't really get very much throw from it. It wasn't a raspberry that I cared for. It was a little bit more artificial instead of a juicy raspberry, and I didn't really get the bakery note, so I wouldn't purchase this again. And I didn't purchase it. It was a sample that Ash at Ash's Scent had included. So next up, this is Mummified, and this is vanilla pumpkin marshmallow, ice cream parlor, and velvet vanilla. And I don't know which of the scents in here that I smelled the most. I believe it was the velvet vanilla, and it was a little light blue bunny rabbit, which was really a pretty melting pool. And I melted this in the kitchen one day. Had a great throw. I could smell it throughout the kitchen and going into a little bit to the other living spaces, and I really enjoyed this. I would pick up more of it. I'm not normally a fan of like super just plain vanilla scents, but this wasn't a plain vanilla scent. It had a nice richness to it, and I don't know what the actual scent notes of these specific fragrance oils were, but it was just a nice, sweet, slightly body care, but not like in a clean way. Really pretty. I think it would be great as a lotion. I did not get any pumpkin, but you do get some of that sweet marshmallowiness, and this was her From Rainbow Melts, this was given to me from one of my friends, Crystal, from Instagram. Her handle is datwaxchick, and this is Mary Berry Zucchini, and it's blueberry, wild berry mousse, and zucchini bread. And it was a really pretty blue half ornament shape. So I cut this in multiple and melted it in the big living space. this one just wasn't for me. The throw was okay. It was maybe like a 6 or so, but I've been finding that something about zucchini bread I'm not liking. And last summer and fall I was enjoying zucchini bread, but I've gradually gotten to where I just can't melt it. It's been giving me headaches. So I didn't leave this in for super long. And I'm also not sure that I like wild berry mousse. I've yet to try it in a blend that it doesn't have zucchini bread, so I need to give it a chance in something else. So this is not a scent that I would order. Next up, I finished this, and it's from Salt Mountain Melts. It's Snow Globe, and the scent notes are Spearmint, Icy Peppermint, and Buttermints. And I picked this up. Now, it was a beautiful blue. Well, I accidentally ran out of space, so I'm backtracking and doing the last bit of the empties again. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize until I had finished and started loading everything back up. So I pulled out the ones that it cut off, and I am going to go through these quickly. Next up was Salt Mountain Melts Snow Globe, and this is Spearmint, Icy Peppermint, Buttermints, and this was a beautiful color of blue with white snowflakes on top, and kind of like a glitter, and it was something I used for a nighttime blend throughout this week. Now, the throw was pretty good and intensity. It was probably a 6 to 7.5 or so, and it lasted about 6 or 7 hours, so not super long, not super strong, but decent performance. And sometimes you just kind of want a little bit of a softer mint instead of a sting your eyes peppermint. Now, I definitely got some sweetness to this, I think, from the Buttermints, but I really picked up more of the Spearmint. That's definitely the dominating one in this. I know some other people have described this as spearmint gum, and I would say that's not a bad way to describe it. There's a little bit more of the peppermint note to it than spearmint gum normally has, but it's definitely a spearmint heavy blend. That being said, I did enjoy this. It was beautiful, and it wasn't like any like special blend, but I did enjoy it. Next up, Knowles Farm scents. This first one is Coffee House. It's butter, coconut, tonka, vanilla, and maple, and this was like a little snap bar. This was a blue. I can't remember if it was a dark or light blue. I think it was light blue. Unfortunately, and I tried this in the mornings twice. Maybe I didn't use enough wax, but I really got no throw from this at all. I just couldn't smell it. And another one from Knowles Farm Scents was Strawberry Pound Cake, and this was strawberry cake, cream, and vanilla. This one I did get more because I put more like 4 cubes in each warmer instead of 2 cubes in each warmer. And so that's what I'm going to try going forward, putting more wax into the hot plates with this one. It was just a strawberry pound cake. It was nice. The throw and intensity was still light, but I at least got it. It was more like a light to medium, and I wound up changing it out. So I don't really know how exactly long it would have gone, but it had started definitely fading, so I changed it out for something else. From Rose Girls Sugar Cookie Latte, this was 2 cube chunks from a bag from a big Kahuna box, and they were like a turquoisey blue with some yellow chunks in it, so once it was melted it started looking green. But this was great. One of the best coffee scents that I have melted from indie vendors so far. I don't know that I can necessarily say this smelled like sugar cookies in here, but there was this just nice sweetness. It wasn't a caramel note, and a coffee that wasn't too bitter, and you could tell that there was some bakery in it, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this. It lasted for maybe 5 or 6 hours, and I could smell it throughout the room. Next up, also from Rose Girls, was Blackberry Jam Butter Cookies. Now, I got this in a D-stash in the summertime, maybe July, and it wasn't very old at that point. At that point, I melted some. I loved this. It did really well, performed well. But when I pulled this out for the basket in January, I didn't smell anything, even in the bag, before melting it. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just gotten a little bit lighter. It's about a year old from what I understand, and from the original date. So I went ahead and melted it, and I tried it in 2 different rooms, 2 different times. This is a darker blue. Nothing, just no scent, even when I almost touched my nose into the wax. So I don't know if it was just too old, or if there was some like leak in the bag or something, but I just got nothing. And normally the time before that I had melted this back in last summer, this was a really nice blackberry jam butter cookies. It was like any other blackberry jam butter cookies. Delicious, fruity, buttery cookie. Exactly what you would expect. Next up, well, the rest are from L3. So this first one is a Bougie Bar, and it was blue with a little bit of pink on the end. And I did go ahead and use the last like 2 squares in this just to finish it out, even though it wasn't fully blue at that end. But this is cotton candy, mallow fluff, salty sea air, and blue spruce. This is a very unusual scent. At first, before melting it, I was like, I don't know if I like this, but it really grew on me once it was in the house and had really spread through. You definitely get the salty sea air first, that briny, oceany scent, and then a kind of woodsy, like Christmas tree spruce scent, and then the sweetness. I don't really feel like I got mallow fluff, but I did get in the cotton candy, the salty sea air, and the blue spruce. I would probably pick up more of this at some point, maybe in a scoopable. I don't need a loaf of it because I don't love it that much, but I enjoyed it enough to maybe pick up another couple bars and periodically experience it, because it was a nice, different thing for my nose to experience. Strength and intensity, this was actually really well, a strong performer in my house, and it was a good 8 or 9, and it lasted, maybe 7 or 8 hours. So by then it had started fading, but it did have a pretty good strength for most of the time. So enjoyed that one. And then this was a Trig Tart in Blueberry Muffin. It's just a single oil from L3 Waxy Wonders. I really enjoyed this so much. I initially melted this on its own one day, and then I wound up melting this, I think 2 other times just in one area of the rooms when I was burning the Blueberry Maple Pancakes candle from Bath & Body Works. It was great pairing with that. This is such a wonderful blueberry bakery scent. I think so far from the blueberry bakery single oils that L3 has, this may be my favorite. I haven't tried the blueberry cobbler yet, but I definitely prefer this over the blueberries and cream. Really yummy. It's definitely that like juicy concentrated blueberry scent, and a muffin. It was delicious. Oh, and the strength of it was pretty good. I would say it had kind of average performance as far as lasting. It would last maybe 5 or 6 hours. I can't remember exactly. And then most of the time it had a pretty good throw. The first 4 hours I would say was about a 7, somewhere in there. So I was quite happy with that. I would definitely get more of that. I possibly even get a loaf of that on its own. Whoops, sorry, the oven is preheating. Please forgive that noise. Alright, next up was Night Before Christmas, and this was fresh baked bread, butterscotch, and butter brickle, and this was a 2-pack buns. I loved this. This was another one that was a standout favorite for this week. I wasn't sure about it on cold. It was a nice dark navy blue, and this was just delicious. The bread was not too overpowering as far as the yeastiness, but it helped tone down the like butterscotch butter brickle note, so it wasn't too sweet. I need to smell it again because it's been a while. Yeah, it was just really nice, buttery, caramely, that kind of Werther's butterscotch. Not like a maple scent or anything. And then the kind of bread with just a little bit of yeasty note. Very good. I would absolutely get more of this one. It performed well for me as well. It was probably 7.5 to 8 as far as strength and intensity, and like the one before, it lasted pretty well as well for somewhere in that 6 to 8 hours range. I feel like if something gives me over 5 hours, I'm pretty happy with how long it lasted, just because I do like to change up my wax a few times throughout the day. So I actually kind of like being able to melt something and not feel bad about pulling it knowing that it was going to last 20 hours, you know. So I like having scents I can turn to that'll last me, you know, 5 to 10 hours, and I can try like 2 or 3 different scents in the course of the day. So this lasted long enough for me. I really enjoyed it. I would get this again. Christmas at the Beach is Blackberry Boardwalk Mellow Clouds, Salty Sea Air, and Peppermint, and this was a 4 Tart pack. This was such an unusual scent. I still honestly don't know if I like this or if I love this. I didn't hate it for sure, and the first time I melted it, I was like, I don't know, but the second time I melted it, I don't know, it just grew on me. Very unusual scent. You really don't get much of the blackberry. If anything, it's really kind of hidden by the salty sea air and the peppermint. The peppermint and the salty sea air are definitely the dominant notes, and the Boardwalk Mellow Clouds adds that sweet kind of body care note. But altogether, really did enjoy this, and this was strong. As you can imagine, salty sea air and peppermint, those are pretty powerful. This lasted above average, maybe 10 to 12 hours, and I could smell it into the other room for the first like 4 or 5 hours. So very strong. I think I would get this again. I'm not sure if I would go as far as getting a loaf, but I would definitely pick it up again. And then the last empty is Snooze Button and Sweet Dreams. This was a loaf that I'd actually been working on for a while, and it was a beautiful dark blue. It's a combination of 2 house blends from L3, Snooze Button and Sweet Dreams. I love both of those. If you love lavender, I would highly recommend picking either of those up on its own or this combination together. It was great. It's cotton candy frosting, sweet lavender, jet puff marshmallows, and that is Snooze Button, I think. And then Sweet Dreams is sweet lavender, vanilla bean noel, and buttermints. I think I've got that correct. No. Snooze Button is the one with the buttermints. Snooze Button is sweet lavender, vanilla bean noel, and buttermints, and then Sweet Dreams is cotton candy frosting, sweet lavender, and jet puff marshmallows. But together, really nice. Sweet cotton candy, lavender, and buttermint. The mint wasn't too heavy. It was definitely more of a sweet lavender forward. Perfect for nighttime or relaxing. I would get this one again. I've gotten each of these scents on their own in low form, and I would get them again together. Highly recommend them if you like lavender or lavender and mint at night. All right, so all together, I said at the beginning, I started off with approximately 27.5 pounds of blue wax from wax that I've already unpacked from boxes. Now, it kind of felt like I had more blue wax than perhaps other colors, but perhaps my perception on that is inaccurate because I was actually pulling the blue wax and not pulling out the other colors. So I felt like I had a really good selection. Bakery, coffee, lavender and mint blends, some things that are a little bit outside of my normal comfort zone that I got to try and surprise myself by enjoying them. So altogether, I finished 13 wax empties. And then I finished a candle and a body care lotion. Altogether, I'm really, really happy with how much I got through as far as empties, a lot of stuff that I made progress on, and I told y'all I would tell you at the end how much total volume of wax I melted. And I didn't actually measure how much I burned with the candle, so I'm just talking about the wax melts portion. But altogether, during this week, I melted approximately 1,617 grams of wax. Or, if you don't like grams and prefer pounds like I do, it was approximately 3.56 pounds of wax. So I'll call it 3.5 pounds of wax that I got through. I do feel like I got through more this week than I normally get through. Perhaps it's because I actually pulled a basket, which I don't always do, and I had like a theme going, so it was a lot easier whenever I was feeling like changing out my wax to just grab something from in here instead of looking at the whole collection and feeling that overwhelmed sense of like, what do I feel like? Which box do I go to? And just spending, 30 minutes trying to decide what to put in. I could just go to the box and grab from there, and I really liked it. So I've been doing melting baskets more often going forward because I feel like it helps me get through wax and it helps me enjoy what I have. So thank you everyone that was behind this original Low-Buy Collab for allowing others like myself to participate. I did most of the weeks, not just the Feeling the Blues week, and I enjoyed it so much. I got behind with some illness in January and February, so I wound up, I think, missing the last week or two. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to go back over my notes, but I know this is kind of late going up. It's several months afterwards, and let me know if y'all want me to continue doing the melting baskets that I did from back in January. Please let me know in the notes or message me, just because I don't want to post these if y'all are like, this is old content, we're not interested. To put 3.5 pounds of wax into perspective, most loaves are somewhere between 12 to maybe 18 ounces, and that's a super heavy loaf. But most loaves are somewhere just under a pound of wax, and a pound is 16 ounces. So if we think about it in that way, altogether I got through somewhere between 3.5 to 4 loaves of wax this week. And that makes me feel really good, honestly. I also have been weighing the wax and kind of tracking how much I've been melting. Not every single week, but for a lot of weeks. And just trying to get an idea of really how much do I use? How much wax do I need? How much can I reasonably get through in a week, a month, a year? And getting a little bit more perspective, because I know it's so easy for all of us to fall down this rabbit hole, and I know for sure my collection has gotten too big for me to realistically melt through. So I feel like kind of having an idea of how much I'm actually able to go through in a specific period of time helps me whenever I'm looking at RTSs or pre-orders, and knowing, hey, don't pick up so much. You can't get through all of that. You don't need that much right now. And it'll take you, if you order this much, it'll take you 5 months to melt all of that. And this is just a hypothetical situation. But I'm hoping that having this information for myself will help with those times where I don't necessarily need to order, or I don't need to order that much. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Please let me know down below if y'all have tried this before, tracking how much wax you have melted through in a week. And if you have any other suggestions, I'd love to hear them. If you tried any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, I love talking about wax with people. That's why I made this channel. And if you did participate in the collab and you posted videos, just know I've been enjoying those videos from each and every one of you. And thank you so much for allowing others to participate in the challenge. It has been so much fun. Thanks again for watching. Everyone have a great weekend.